Well, I had the usual business of wanting to be a film star, and it took me a long time to realise I was the wrong shape. And but I was always very fond of poetry and elocution and all the rest of it. I spent my first Bob's spending money on an elocution lesson. It must have been awful, but still I enjoyed it. And I never dreamed that I would ever do anything about drama. I went into a mill when I was 14, and I enjoyed being in the mill, and I would go back if I had to.
At 19, Dorothy Heathcote worked in a Yorkshire mill. By the age of 24, she was a lecturer in educational drama in Newcastle. It was an adventurous appointment and a leap in the dark for both her and the university that employed her.
I went along to do my first lesson, and the headmaster had forgotten I was coming. And so he, very quick, you know, quick thinker, turned round, and all the naughty boys that were standing outside the school classroom doors, he called to him and said, "This lady's come to teach you some drama." Well, they were all sizes. And so I remember thinking, I've got to hold their attention. I don't think I thought this consciously at all. And I said, if you were captain of a ship, if you were all going to captain a ship, what qualities would you look for in choosing men? And the first lad said they'd have to run fast to obey orders. And really, this is I asked this question, really, all my life.
Right, let's put in!
Axwell Park, Blaydon, County Durham. A residential school, now called a community home.
Thank you very much.
This is her first meeting with these boys, and nobody knows what's going to happen next.
Morning, lads. Now, this is Mrs. Heathcote, who's going to do this play with you. These are a mixed group, Mrs. Heathcote.
Oh, yes.
They're all interested in doing it, and they all want to do it. So let's hope you have some fun with them.
Thank you very much indeed.
Right.
Well, you know my name anyway, don't you? You're going to settle down. Can I first of all introduce these teachers to you? Yes. You'll see there are 8 teachers sitting behind you. They're all teachers who are interested in teaching drama, and they've come along just to see how we get on today. I don't know whether you'd like to know their names or whether you can introduce yourselves afterwards. That's probably the best thing to do. Now, how long have we got? What time do we stop for dinner? 12 o'clock. So we've got from now to 12 o'clock to do a play. What would you like to do?
Some suggestions?
Well, come on then, let's have a few.
Prisoner war camp.
A prison camp.
Stone Age.
Stone Age. When I meet a group for the first time, I don't go in with definite ideas of what's going to happen, because I think I must use their ideas. And I want them to see their ideas coming into this marvellous action that they bring. So I try to go in working almost, sort of, if you think of a gas cooker, I'm set at nothing. What are we going to do? Which do you fancy?
Prisoner of war camp.
Prisoner of war camp.
Yeah.
Let's try this then. You're going to have to be captured as prisoners, because that's what you want. And for this you will have to agree that I'm cleverer than you, because there's only one of me and there's 14 of you. So if you want to be in a prison camp, you'll have to let me take you there, right? Now, pick up your guns. Now, every man gets used to laying his gun down in a place where he knows he can put his hand on it. So, find out how you pick your gun up and lay it down. Just go on. Now, just pick it up and get used to the feel of it. It matters. It's all there is between you and the Germans with their guns, isn't it, really?
Yeah. What about if you got a bazooka?
We haven't any bazookas. We have ordinary rifles.
Yeah.
Is that agreed?
Yes.
Nobody start pulling rank and getting bigger guns. Is that agreed?
Yes.
Ordinary standard rifles have been issued for this job. Okay, well, 202 or whatever they are. The trick is to do something that A, arrests the attention of the people you're working with, focuses them as a group, and straight away tells them what's up, what's happening? And so, usually I try to take a role in such a way that straight away they grasp the lot. House, you Britishers in there!
Look out there!
I know how many there are in.
No money.
The officer will stand up.
Don't stay down. Stay down.
Stand up.
Sir.
So, you have 13 men and yourself in the house. We know, we have counted them.
And they're not coming out.
You will send out through this window
No.
13 guns plus yours.
You stand at
14 British Standard rifles. Come on. You are covered. You have no way of escaping. Out.
No.
I
got
am
your
not
children
here
here.
to waste words. Do you
Wait.
wish to be shot?
We've got your children.
13 rifles plus your own. Thank you.
Hands above your heads.
It is your responsibility.
Get your names all
Get their hands above their heads and their knives out.
One question.
Yes.
Have you got a wife and kids?
Yes.
I have.
Then we are equal.
No, we're not.
You are my prisoners.
An excellent.
Stay inside. Order them to stay inside.
What you want to do?
How many men have you got then? You and those
Get them to
army?
shut up.
You and your ground
Get
army?
your men to shut up and listen.
Quiet.
What rank are you?
This is my
I ask
business.
some questions.
Well, our business is my business as well.
You will get your men out of this house, lined up in the street, ready for the wagons. Is that understood?
No chance.
It is an order, because if you do not, the place will be blown up shortly.
Don't,
It is
sir,
entirely up to you.
don't.
I give the orders.
I give the order.
And you stand attention when we talk to me.
I shall remember you later. I won't water down drama, so I use the situations that authors use, the real tense situations of life. And if the teacher puts the tension there, the rest follows.
How do you mean you won't water it down? I mean, is this what other teachers do?
Well, rocks and trees, and fairies, and this, that, and the other, and wearing leotard. This has nothing to do with real drama. Drama is a real man in a mess. Now then, how are we going to get him into the hut?
I'll come in as a new prisoner. And another prisoner with his court.
Can you behave like a new prisoner? You'll have to be pretty rough with him,
Right.
and you'll have to take it. Now, they'll want to know why he wasn't captured at the same time as them. That's surely one of the things they'll ask. What other things they'll think of to ask, I have no idea, but they are not unintelligent. They will try all kinds of ways to find out everything. Where do you come from in England?
London. Oxford.
That's safe, do you think, London? Whereabouts in London?
Coventry.
Coventry.
It's a good place.
It's a good place. Now, is your father alive?
No.
Well now, how did your father die?
Got shot in Berlin.
He was a soldier as well, in the First World War.
Yeah.
What do you think? That would be all right, would it?
Yeah.
So, that is your background. Now, build up more background. You discuss it. I haven't time to be standing around here discussing his background. Now, he must have a complete family history. Remember this. They will ask all kinds of things. They know England. And you must know England.
Why didn't you just tell him that Coventry wasn't in London?
Because I don't give a damn where Coventry is. At that point, he felt right. He was working on an intensity of feeling, not on facts at all. I was saying, you've got to convince Englishmen. And he said, yes. And that's the level we're working at. If he'd said the man in the moon, as long as he'd believed it, at that point, it's okay by me. After all, what's a fact? I just happen to know Coventry isn't in London. But there's loads of things I could have said equally stupid if you're looking at this kind of stupidity. If the other boys, of course, had suddenly jeered at him, I would have had to defend him. But nobody jeered because it was as right for them, because they were feeling as well. I think this is something that is very, very delicate. Sometimes one would have to say, are you sure? But this knowing what's irrelevant is the most important thing there is in teaching.
Do that, lads. Meet them, look. No, not there. Wait, no, under here. This side.
Stop there. You keep watching the window. Stop moving. Keep the move.
The guard should be coming on any minute, so no excitement, lads, no excitement at all.
God! See? Go let the door open. Paul, Peter, report the door's open.
God!
Left you with the keys, well?
I've dropped them.
Yeah, you fool! Shut yourself! Right. Here's to me. Please get out, you're getting the plane!
Are you going to lock the door?
Show you stand what?
Well, we haven't got the keys.
Can't prove it anyhow.
We'll come, right? Yeah. On the night, tonight, we'll wait. Which do we know is the key for that?
Really?
I seen it's a Gaulish key.
I call it a chub key. Chub. That's it, chub.
No, it's got chub on it. Two, but anyway, we can get out. It's meaning.
Yeah.
We'll get out. Tonight, I'll see where the other one is. And you two look after them. Make sure they don't talk. We'll leave the door unlocked, just in case they come down. Think she's coming down again. Who's the four that's going? No, there's only two of us, me.
There's two goes, the rest die.
You won't die. I mean, he's got a bad arm. You don't know.
See the look on his face.
What?
Looks a bit funny, doesn't it? Tell you something, if anything goes wrong in this.
I bet you die.
Die, personally.
But I'll tell you one thing, you are not going to touch one. No, look at the guard.
Hands.
One of them. If you open your mouth.
Just hands.
Where are the keys? Where are the keys?
Here's got them, sir.
Give me the keys. Give me. Swine. Give me the keys. You swine. Swine. No, it's not worth it, sir. He's not worth looking at. Get out! Move! Get out!
The best part was the end one, because the way everyone reacted. They just reacted when they were sad. When they find out we had the keys, we were planning to escape, we had the stool pigeon in, and everyone just got on their hands and knees and started a song.
So did the stool pigeon?
Yeah.
For no reason at all. I felt like laughing at that bit. Why he got up and says, I'm not a German pig. So,
Why did you feel like laughing?
because it was funny, really. Why should he start to cry?
Because he betrayed us.
Well, he was a German, he was.
Yes. Mainly wanted to
Nobody
He says to us that he was an Englishman, and we took his word for it.
Why did you start the soap?
So really didn't want to betray these.
And he felt
Well, it's only a play.
I'd felt better for the commandant had got up and says, well, it seems it's the end of the war, I'll let you all leave.
I just thought I just thought of that idea, and you said cut. I was just going to say as he cut, so I could do it, and he said cut.
It looks a bit of an adventure tale, as if everybody's just pretending to be prisoners and so on. And I think if you ask the boys this, they would probably think they'd had a good adventure, you know, it was grand. We didn't do ordinary lessons for a start. It would take a little time for them to begin to be very honest and say to themselves, well, actually, that was me talking.
Well, Dorothy, nice to see you again. Come in.
One of Dorothy Heathcote's ex-students is Tom Stabler. They first met when he was teaching in one of the poorest and toughest areas in Hartlepool.
I didn't think that Dorothy's ideas would work at all. And I remember standing up and more or less telling her this face to face. I think I said, I think these ideas of yours may work with intelligent children, but I can't see them working with the kind of youngster that I've got to teach. And she smiled extremely patiently and said something like, do you want to bet? And so I said, well, I don't mind betting. And she said, you start some, I'll come down and see you. Well, of course, having committed myself, it was necessary to start. So we went back and we started. I can't remember now whether it was on Beowulf or Pocahontas, but it was one of those two. And I remember being horrified the first once or twice I had the class out trying this improvised drama that we'd been shown by Dorothy. And then suddenly it gelled.
And he had this fantastic confrontation which shook him rigid. He rang me up and said, come down, it's worked. And they were arguing as to why the bear trap that had been dug for the white man should have killed one of their own princes. And the first written work I saw from these children, these deprived children, you felt they'd only just got shoes, was this sorrowing for their young prince, this young brave who was the sort of cream of the tribe. And the next thing, he said, I don't know what to do with it, you know, I don't know where to go. And I said, well, why don't you ask him? So he sat down with trepidation, and I think I asked them, and I said, what would you like to do next? And they said, murders, miss. So Tom said, no. And I said, well, if you want to do murders, you'll have to begin to think about what on earth makes anybody want to kill anybody. And that made Tom feel even worse. But anyway, we did it in pairs because it was safer. And I said, get him to book time, 10 minutes in the hall where you can be busy with your own class and just keep an eye on them. And when I come, I want to understand not how the man got killed, but why you felt driven to do that. And he's never really looked back. From murders he went on to Moses and all the big epics.
Today's big epic will be a new version of the story of Ahab, Elijah, and the immigrant queen Jezebel. She has imported foreign dress, foreign makeup, and a foreign god, Baal, in whose honor a temple is to be built. To make way for it, houses have to come down, and the people who live in them are warming up for a protest.
It's a bit wonky there. Do it as it comes. Just do it as it comes. Do what Mr. Stimpson said. Do it as it comes. He might go and we'll have too many guards.
The audience are Mrs. Heathcote's students. The performers are an unstreamed class of 10-year-olds at the Kingsley County Primary School, where Tom Stabler is headmaster. The play that is about to happen is scriptless and unique. The next time they play it, the dialogue will be different, and even the situation may change, for nothing is written down, learnt, or taught. Tom Stabler's technique is to put his children into a tight corner and let them question and argue their way out of it, differently every time.
Sire, is it true this man is going to pull down our houses?
My lord, the Queen gave me this order, and these people will not obey it.
Your Queen has given you all an order. My lord, I cannot believe it. What has gotten into you? What is wrong with you?
My lord,
Ever since she came, it has started. Is it true? You did. Jezebel, then. You don't want her here, but you've got her here. and you'll settle with what you've got and be grateful.
My lord, does this mean you're going to let this happen? You're going to knock our houses down? I've lived in this city from the beginning. I've seen every house built. It takes months, sometimes a year, to build a house. And people have lived in them from the beginning as well. Would you let your house go, my lord?
Yes, what foul needs foul get?
There's plenty of room in the palace grounds.
What good is it there?
There'll be only you using it.
No one believes in a stone god.
There'll be only you using it.
Yes, what about the women in this village singing? What will lead them?
And the children.
Well, let your women talk.
Isabelle, there's women in this city with babies. What do you think's going to happen to them?
You can look after them.
They'll probably die. But what if they get a fever? You don't care. We haven't enough clothing. You should know that by now. Why do you think we need our houses? To keep them warm in.
See your houses falling down.
But they still belong to us, Isabelle.
You could not repair them, they're too old.
But that does not matter. They still belong to us. I'd rather repair it than getting it knocked down by a foreigner.
Yes, I realise that. You can't let them go, but you will.
I wonder how you can call yourself a king.
A king that doesn't care, that's what
That doesn't care for children who might die in the streets if you pull down their houses.
You keep them warm, they will not die.
That is why we need our houses, to keep the children and the babies warm. Don't you understand?
I wonder why you call yourself a queen.
And you're a peasant.
A queen that paints a face.
Quiet! Give your tongue a rest.
A king that makes
Because
a thing
he
like
finds
this
out.
happen. You
Yes,
call
he-
yourself a queen? What sort of a queen are you?
Stop it! And who are you?
Elijah.
And what do you want?
As you know, I am Elijah,
Elijah,
the prophet,
prophet.
and the only prophet at that. And I've been outside this crowd, listening to your argument.
Listening like a spy. Is that all you were good for? Or can't you do anything better with your time?
And you call yourself a king, doing this.
Yet
to
you
my
call yourself
people.
a prophet, living in the mountains, and shut up in a cave, like a wild beast.
I live in the mountains because I'm near a god.
Near a god.
You're Baal.
Since you say to your people, why not live among them?
I'll
I'll tell you
show
why. You are frightened of them. You could not rule over them.
Do you know what they are?
Yes, I know what they are.
They are the laws.
My father's laws.
The laws! And your king, your own king is disobeying them. You call yourself a king. And you do such a thing to these people. What have you got to say to that?
Not half as much as you have. But before you go any further, I would like to know why you are here. And once more, what you want.
To solve this problem.
It is none of your business. If you aren't a part of these people, you don't live amongst them. Why don't you stop pretending? You're no prophet. Why don't you get it into your head?
You are no king.
I'll tell you why. Because you want to keep on going. Never stop till the world ends.
As I've said, until you change them, they shall be kept.
Be kept. The king's that a threat? Well,
That is a threat.
you people listen, as well as you. If Elijah interferes, I'll fill the well in. Collect all your belongings. And when you all have your houses by noon. And as for you, come interfering any more, and I'll have your hands off. Good!
You regret it. You are
Faced with that amount of assurance and that skill with words, an observer can't be blamed for thinking he's watching a repetition of something the children have got off by heart. One of the students, Bob Ferguson.
I saw the first bit run through, and I thought, well, here's something which has been reasonably rehearsed. And then we found it necessary to do a little bit again. But the words, the argument was entirely different, you know. This terrific feeling was there, and children were just speaking off the tops of their heads. It was absolutely marvellous. But I think this is absolutely amazing. And it's, you know, it's quite amazing, really.
We haven't any rules. We can't call them rules. We have what we call a common sense approach. For instance, the first time that these children got themselves into drama, and of course the usual hubbub developed, a great commotion and a noise, I said, I remember, I could hear something that you said. I half heard it, but I couldn't quite make it out. What was it? And some other youngster near at hand said, oh, it was this. And I said, what a pity, I couldn't hear that. Who else couldn't hear it? Quite a number of hands went up, and I said, well, there was something that was said. What an answer Ahab would have given to that if he'd heard it.
Does Mr. Stabler tell you what to say?
No, we'll just think it up as we go on. We think of ideas and that, and if they're good ideas.
Who thinks of the ideas? You or Mr. Stabler?
We think so, Mr. Stabler. We both do. If they were Mr. Stabler's ideas, it wouldn't seem right.
Why is that?
Because it's drama. It's not our feelings. Drama.
Master, why wouldn't it be right?
But it just wouldn't be. You can't feel like it. It wouldn't be our drama. It'd be like a parrot just repeating words.
It's like a parrot.
Or a play where you have to learn the script.
Yeah.
Because if he told us what to say,
just have to try
it wouldn't be drama.
You might forget
it. It would be a
then.
play.
You wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And you might forget the drama.
Would you like to do a play where there's a script and you learn?
No.
I'd rather do drama than a play.
Because you...
Tell me that again.
I'd rather do drama than a play. Because if you do a play, you have to learn the words, and if you forget it, you might ruin the whole thing. But in drama, you just think the words as you go on.
And that's more fun, is it, or easier?
Yeah, it's easier and fun.
I'm
doing a play now, to tell the truth. With our Sunday school.
And what's that play? That's a play. That's not drama, that's a play.
No, it's a play. It isn't as good because you can't say really what you want to say. In plays you've got to say what you're told to say, what's wrote down, where in drama you can say what you want to say, what you feel. You can have your own feel.
I think, you know, a lot of people think if you work in improvisation that you don't work in theatre. Of course you work in theatre. One of the ways you make the ideas work is you understand how the theatre works, how it exposes the ideas that lie between people. And so when I have a group that are likely to be ready for this forming of ideas, then of course I know I'm going to work in a theatrical idiom. I'm going to work with a youth group at Wallsend. Now these people have done a fair amount of their own kind of theatre. They've shown a lot of work. Well, it would be stupid of me to go in and say we're not going to show this. Showing is part of their ethos now. It's part of the thrill they get out of being together. Now, because they're working in theatre, I've got to have something that arrests their attention. Now, I can't prepare what they will do. I can't prepare their reactions. But if I've any sense at all, I'm bound to think about what's likely to interest them. Now, we've got to try to find a particular incident. I mean, we're not writing a book, we're writing a play, and a play has to be one incident which crystallises this problem of somebody your age at a crossroads. There is one incident that occurs to me, but I don't know whether this is of any interest. Shall I just tell you about it and see what you think? It strikes me that we don't have national service anymore, but there used to be, in ancient Greece, a tradition that in order to man the great ships with freedmen, so that the navy really ran well, they used to take a sort of quota of people from every village. Now presumably, I don't know, we would have to check on this, presumably they took the cream of the young men. What they did about their ploughing and their seed sowing, I've no idea when this happened. So there must have been a balance have to be achieved. Now if we assume that part of this person's crossroads is going to be that he must leave his present condition and go forward into this kind of service. This is a possible one. We've got all these young men who are going to have to take this oath, and we've got one young man who is going to find this to be a crossroads. Is there anybody here who would like to try to understand how this young man feels?
I'd like to have a bash at it.
You'd like to have a go. Fair enough. Well, let's suppose all the women... what would you be doing on an ordinary morning in a village marketplace near to Athens? You'd be washing. So it's going to begin, in fact, as a world of women.
Haven't you told his mother yet?
No.
There's a man coming across the field.
Wait.
He's carrying a sword.
Anybody recognize him? Hey, what month is it?
June.
Then it's him from the trireme.
No, it's not a year since
It is.
he was here.
Yeah, it was June. He was here last.
Come on, now you all know why I'm here.
Yes, we know why you're here. To take all the men away again. When do you think I'm going to find a husband?
Where do we get to go on these ships, you know, I mean, what sights do we get to see?
When your name's inscribed in the...
There is no doubt about Dorothy Heathcote's loyalty to these youngsters, but her face is eloquent. She has doubts about the work on the particular day it was filmed. The play owes just too much to memories of epic movies. It hasn't yet found a voice of its own.
Is the Archon Elixir present? No. Let him be called.
Dad!
What? Oh, just give me a minute. All the names are here.
All hear me. By Athenian law it is decreed that all youths give 1 year's service aboard the great triremes. None except the sick may be absolved from this duty. Receipt of the potsherd which bears your name binds you the service of the Triarch for 1 year. So it is. Meno. Cleon. Hippocrates.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you, Father.
Lysias.
I'm not afraid to die. It's killing that I fear.
Timaeus. Tassos. Tassos. Tassos.
He'll be here. He was in the high pasture when you first came.
Oh, he's coming now.
Go on, take it.
I'm not going.
You're not going? Of course you're going. Can't take it.
Can't understand you, son.
Do you want to bring shame upon the whole village?
He's nothing but a coward.
Who am I in all of this? Do I not have some say in my own life? I'm sick of being told to do this, do that. Can I not make some decision for myself?
But don't you care what we think about you anymore?
Of course I still care about you. But I've got to care about myself as well. And you? Is the government really for me? Is it for us? Or is it just for you?
It's your responsibility as much as anyone else.
Lads, if you want to go, fair enough, go. But I know there's some of you here who don't want to go. Don't let them force you. You push me in this direction. You push me in that direction. I don't know which way to go. I've listened to you all my life. For years and years I've listened to you. When I was in school, I had to listen to you. You told me whether I was right or wrong. But now I've got to decide for myself. Listen to me. Trust me. Give me time.
Tassos, we've all had time. We've all done what we've had to do.
He's always been too bloody pig-headed.
Can't understand it. He's always had the best.
He's never been one of the lads. He won't get far in life.
He's man enough to get a girl into trouble.
But is he man enough to fight for his country?
You're not scared.
Come on. Think of those Egyptian birds. They'll just call you a coward.
Come on, we're all going. Well, go on, take it.
I know how you feel, but you've got to do it.
That's us. You've put her in the club, man. This is your chance to escape.
You've got nothing else to keep you here. You might as well take it. Come on.
Come on.
Tassos,
Come on. Well, go on.
You know you're going to do it. Come on. Take your responsibility. Go on.
The play was followed by analysis and questioning, and this is where, for Dorothy Heathcote, the chance of a breakthrough lies.
I think perhaps it was a little bit overdone, you know, pressing the point a lot, in fact.
And I think as well, the side for the community was too strongly represented. I don't think it happens that just one person stands out against society. It's very rare. But even so, in that situation, where Gordon was the lad, and he had rejected so many things, he had answered everybody, and then he just sort of deflated, and he accepted it, where I didn't think he would.
Of course, the pressures were so great. As Mary was saying, that, no, it was Vernon was saying that it's unusual for just one person to stand out in society. It's just there was pressures from all sides. Everybody was against him, really.
So really, this has been a very unreal play, you think? Not a real play at all?
No, I think it has been real. But I think it would have been nice if Gordon had actually broken away, you know, to show that you can break away from no matter what's going on.
I think he
could have broken away.
No,
He was strong.
the difference is that Tassos was in such a knit community, you know, he had that many people on him. Whereas if we met Crossroads now, we wouldn't have that many people pulling down on one.
The Isabelle Wilson School is a part of the Prado Hospital for the Mentally Subnormal. When they're not in school, almost all the children live in the hospital wards, and their average mental age is 3.
Hello?
Hi,
Are we going to do some drama? What's that? Oh, it's the man on the camera. What's he got that like him? Eh? What's he got that like him? What's that? Neil, what's that?
Father Christmas.
Father Christmas. Has he got to do that man on the camera? Shall we go? Shall we go and do some drama? Is he still there?
Yeah.
The system we're using now is that we have one teacher and one child, and between them they try to set up a communication. Now, I don't pretend to be knowing what I'm doing, except I'm struggling to A, stimulate the child and stretch the child, using the teacher's own ideas as far as possible. But more importantly, I'm trying to stretch the student
the experienced teacher in this case, so that he starts to look at the kind of teacher he is. Now, isn't this a marvellous thing that some normal children can teach teachers this?
You're going to be Batwoman.
Robin.
Oh, you're going to be Robin.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be Batman.
What do you mean?
I'm working with Gary at one level. Gary's 14 and he's big and heavy and rather difficult to work with because he tends to fade away from you every now and again.
Hello, Gary. Morning.
You're going to marry her when you're 21? You tell her. You tell her. No, you tell her. So he's going to marry her when he's 21?
Oh, that's lovely. I'll look forward to it. Gary's going to marry me when he's 21. Is that Mum? No, not tomorrow.
Can
Can I do that in a minute? And we won't forget, promise. Right, cowboys after. Hello. Are we all set then? Can I have, please? Yes. All the people round here.
I'm on telly.
Everybody round here. Is everybody round here?
I'm just coming.
With me friends. On. With your friends. We all said, there's a friend out there. Come on.
Yes.
Come on. Can you get it? Right. Now then. You see all these big people? Yeah. I would like them all rolling over there into a big heap. Can you roll them all over?
Yeah.
Into a big heap, and I'll give you a hand. You get lying down, and I'll give him a hand.
Right.
And I want them all over there.
With Ian, my youngster, he throws up patterns of behaviour that I have to be very flexible with. And I think this will help me in an ordinary classroom situation. It's rather like becoming a father for the first time, I expect, working with the subnormal children.
How are we doing? Are we nearly there?
I was very fortunate in that I had a child who was an angelic face, this little autistic boy. He didn't respond at all to me at first. He just wandered around. But then as we worked together and he came to trust me and recognize me when he saw me, I felt it was a terrific... I don't know, I got a feeling of what it's like really to be lost, if you know what I mean.
Now that's right. Now this big Roger will just do nicely to pile a lot more on top of. So come on, give him a hand. We want everybody on top of Big Roger. The value to me is that many of these teachers can find themselves in a very special way. I don't mean this in any twee way. I mean they're thrown back on the resources that are themselves. They cannot rely on what they know. They have to rely on what they are. Now then, let's just watch them. And if you see a leg or an arm or a foot or a hand come out of that pile, go and tuck it in again. Watch them. Well, stand up and watch them. Stand here. There's a hand. Tuck it in. Come back as soon as you tuck it in. Come back to me. Not too many at once. Wrong. Oh, tell him not to be. Get yourself. Come back to me a minute when you've got them tucked in. Oh, mine. Oh, you're starving too. See, what you done? Dirty cat. Right, everybody come here then. Have another look. Now then, do you think we could set them on fire?
No.
Everybody come here. I'll give you a match. You ready then? Set the bonfire burning. Feel it? Careful.
You're not going to burn me, are you?
We're burning.
Is it burning?
No. We're only what?
Playing.
We're only playing, Father. You're not really going to burn me.
Oh, no. Pretend matches.
Pretend matches. And I won't get burnt.
I think one of the reasons I can work as I do is nobody bothered to train me how to do it. I'm not recommending no training, but I think we should take a good hard look at the training, and at the moment we are training people in theatre because we don't know what else to do. I'm not knocking anybody who's doing it, but I certainly don't know how to do it. It's something to do with teaching teachers to receive, to structure so that things flow from children. And so much of the time is being spent on doing theatricals. I'm not doing theatricals when I'm working with these children. The theatre's in my blood. I have a lot of understanding about it. I don't know everything about it. I couldn't produce a play in London, for example. But it's in my blood, and I use that expertise for the children, not for theatre. And it's this learning to employ this that should be at the heart of our training of teachers of drama. And I'll just go on trying till I retire, I suppose.
That's it. That's it.
I'm good for husband. Never enough. No help can talk.
What are you doing up my lighthouse?
Oh, let's listen.
What are you doing up my lighthouse? Hey, what are you doing up my lighthouse? Hey,
Climbing it.
you're a climbing it, are you?
And what is Lindsay going to do now?
He's going to climb up.
Climb up.
2, 3. There's somebody else, a lady up my lighthouse. Come on in. Hey, I know this person. Who is this up my lighthouse? Who is it? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Up my lighthouse. Hey, it's all right. I've got you.
Esme Church started a northern theatre school in Bradford, which was near home, at least 10 miles away. And I remember going home, and it was in the Keighley News, you know, and I said, I would like to go there. And my mother said, well, you can't, you know, we couldn't do this. It was one of those things that cost money. And
How old were you then?
I was 19, nearly 19. And she wasn't very well. And she'd been able to stop working because I was earning good money in the war, you know, sort of £5 a week, which was good money for somebody my age who were weaving parachutes. And anyway, I decided I would apply for an interview. We must have looked like nothing on earth, these two up-Cumdens, you know. We went to Bradford, and there was, I think, J.B. Priestley and all these people that I'd read about, you know, that were sitting there. And I daren't tell Miss Church that, of course, I couldn't come. I was just there to see whether I had any talent. And Mother sat in the back of the little theatre in Bradford, and I performed my pieces. And by this time I'd realised I was the wrong shape for a film star, so I played very old women. Volumnia, I remember, and Miss Church sat there very patiently and offered me a place. And then I had to say, well, actually, and I didn't think it was cheeky at the time, you know, I can't come, I haven't any money. And a voice from the back of the theatre, it shook me rigid. My mother said, I've £75. And Miss Church turned around and she said, well, you know, we would accept you. So I went back and we sat in the bus chewing our fingernails, wondering what on earth we could do, because by now I knew I wanted to go. And I got to the mill next morning, and the owner sent for me. And he was a man of about 60, and his father had known my grandfather, you know. And I thought, oh, I'm for the sack, there's something gone wrong. And I went up, and he threw the Yorkshire Post across his desk. And he said, is this thee? And I said, it must be. It says what I did yesterday in Bradford. And he said, well, that's Donny Brass. And so I explained my mother had this £75. She'd been left it in a will somehow, you know, and I didn't know anything about it. And he said, well, I'll pay the fees. And he decided to give my mother £2 a week or something so that she didn't have to pay income tax. But she had to take over my looms, you see, because it was a matter of the war. And he paid my fees. And his last words when I left were, and there'll be 3 looms waiting when that's finished. And I think one could go back, you know, and say, well, can I have them 3 looms because I've finished?